So through the first 2 games, James Wiseman is averaging 19 points, 7 rebounds. He's shot 7 free throws per game in the 2 games. And he looks really good on offense. And defensively, he doesn't look as horrible as you would have thought if you were going to be really, really cynical about the guy. Not that he hasn't made mistakes defensively, but he's also had some moments as well, especially as a rim protector. So the first thing to think about is the jump shot to me, because this was something that was talked about a bit with Wiseman, but there was fear of if he could do it right away from scouts who were watching all the stuff you could watch, right? And the confidence that he has had going into these jump shots, I think, has been really telling. I mean, they're all going in right now. He's shooting 80% from 3, and obviously that's not going to hold up. He's also shooting 50% from mid-range, but it's more with just how quick he's able to go into it, whereas when defenders are sagging off of him a bit, he doesn't really think about it too much. He just goes right up with it. His actual form, I mean, there's a funny picture on Twitter of him with like his knees really shooting out and stuff, and it implies that he shoots like someone who's perhaps a bit older, but it's going in. And sure, maybe the form is a little slow right now, and you could even argue that it's not even one motion. It's kind of like 2 different motions where he has to bring it behind his head first, and then he kind of slingshots it to the rim or whatever. It is a lefty release, so it's going to have a bit of that anyway. So we'll see if he has to adjust it a little bit in time, but it's certainly a great start at the moment. And I think it opens up the possibility of the Warriors maybe running some more simple sets with him and Steph. They already are running quite a few more pick and rolls for Steph. He's currently averaging 10 pick and rolls a game. And even then, it feels like it's not enough. Mainly because there's not much else they're doing that's working. You'd think Wiseman could play off of Steph okay. There's a chance he could be a roll and a pop guy right now. And he's also showing off the handle in a couple plays right now. The big one was still that fake handoff against the Nets where he then had a lefty dribble all the way to the basket for a really nice-looking layup. And so it's like, well, okay, if you're going to set a screen for Steph, they're going to trap him. Perhaps Wiseman could take it off the dribble himself to the basket and make something happen from there. And then he can, of course, bust out that athleticism and stuff. So, you know, maybe Wiseman really can be like a 17, 18-point guy right now. I was skeptical just because he has had so much time off. Because remember, he only played 3 college games or whatever, and then we had the long break, and then he missed most of training camp as well. If there's anything that you would want to be cynical about with his offense, we'll get to the defense. It's that he currently has no assists, but I'm going to choose to not get on him too much for that one. I also want to talk about how he can draw contact already. Against the Nets, he had a few transition plays where he took it himself off the dribble or he got it at half court or whatever, and he just barreled into a guy and got a foul. There was another one that was a dump-off pass from Steph where he went for a dunk under the basket and somebody had to hit him. Against the Bucks, he had a post-up where Giannis fouled him. There were a couple other times where he had the ball in transition, and the big one was late in the game where he actually blocked a guy, and then he just started dribbling it up court himself, and they had to foul him at the other end. And so just put it all together. I mean, you're talking about a big who can roll to the rim, catch alley-oops, grab offensive rebounds, shoot from outside, draw a lot of contact, and take it off the dribble himself. That guy can score a lot of points, especially when he's able to play off of a star player like Steph Curry. I think the other thing to talk about with Wiseman on offense before we get to the defense is his screen setting. I would say so far it's okay. Sometimes pretty good, sometimes kind of bad. He's clearly trying on these screens. I just think he hasn't figured out exactly where to stand and exactly how to time them just yet. Like sometimes defenders get around him pretty easily, and sometimes it's a pretty solid screen. It'll also help when he's a little bigger. I mean, right now he's listed at 240 at 7'1", and you just look at him, I think he could stand to gain some more weight. You want to maintain that athleticism, of course, but a little bit more certainly. And actually, Google tells me he's 250. Basketball Reference tells me he's 240. I don't know. Anyway, if we talk about Wiseman on defense, so when he has been involved in pick and rolls, the Warriors have not asked him to do much. Basically just back up and try to get the guy to take a mid-ranger pretty much. I don't think they've asked him to switch or trap much. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. I'm forgetting some plays. But we'll see how aggressive they want him to be defensively. That's probably the best thing for them to ask him to do right now. Don't put too much on his plate as he's figuring out the NBA and all that. Now, that said, the Nets had some success on him. DeAndre Jordan got a couple of lobs off of Wiseman. You know, as I said in the previous Warriors video, he kind of got stuck in no man's land, like defending the ball handler, trying to defend the big guy, but really defending neither one of them, which is fine. That's a typical rookie big man thing. There was also a time where he dropped on Kevin Durant, and then KD got a pretty easy pull-up, and Wiseman also fouled him, which you don't want that. Again, that's more of a rookie mistake. You'd imagine he will figure that out in time. And then against the Bucks, I mean, in the half court, he was mainly defending Giannis, as in he was sagging off of Giannis, daring him to shoot, and he actually got Giannis to shoot quite a few jump shots, and I don't remember if any of them actually went in, so there was that. Giannis did get him on one play where Wiseman kind of fell asleep for a second around the free throw line, and Giannis catch it and took off immediately, and I think he got fouled or he got a layup, I don't remember. There was another time where Giannis tried to post up on him, and Wiseman did a good job of forcing a sort of awkward off-balance layup or whatever, and he didn't foul him. The Warriors got the rebound, so that was a good defensive possession. And he's also had, especially in the Bucks game, he had a couple of really good blocks where he was able to save the play pretty much. There was one lob play that the Bucks went for that he broke up pretty well, and he had a really big block at the end of the game as well that again led to him then taking it in transition. So as of right now, it seems like they just are hoping that he's a rim protector, and when it comes to the perimeter defense, we'll just have him figure it out in time. Now, his on-off numbers have not been good, but the Warriors have lost by so many points in these first two games, I don't think it's valuable to look at that stat too much. So yeah, overall, Wiseman looks good, and I think he has done a good job of getting these points and getting these trips to the foul line without really being the go-to guy on offense, and it'll just be something to see with the Warriors and Steve Kerr and just how they want to balance who gets the shots on this team and who gets the possessions and all that, because I mean, typically you want to stick to the whole don't ask the rookie to do too much thing, but you're also 0-2 by a wide margin, and it just might be the sort of thing where it's like, well, as of right now, it actually makes more sense for us to go to Wiseman than it does to go to Oubre and Wiggins. Now, those guys have just missed some makeable shots, and eventually those will go in, and eventually Steph will start dropping his normal 20-something points a game on great efficiency. I think the Steph Curry exposed thing is already starting to become a little much on Twitter and whatever. Like, Steph Curry's going to be fine. By the time this season's over for him, and you go look at his stat sheet, it's going to look like a normal season for the guy. Now, they're saying that Draymond will probably be back against the Bulls or the Pistons, and that should allow Steph to have a little bit more luxury to move off the ball. Even then, the Warriors are probably still going to have to run some more simple stuff with Steph, and they just have to accept the fact that some of these other guys, they're just not as good as Clay, KD, whatever, and Steph is just going to have to be a little more selfish with possessions and that sort of thing, and you'd think that Wiseman can help that out. Now, as far as Wiseman defensively pairing up with Draymond, I mean, in a perfect world, you would hope that Draymond can still switch. And, I mean, maybe he's not going to be 5 years ago Draymond, but if he can at least be one of the still most versatile defenders in the league, and then you've got Wiseman patrolling the basket, and okay, maybe teams can have some success with him on spacing him out and whatever, but if he can at least stand in front of the basket okay enough and not bite on pump fakes and not foul guys and that sort of thing and not jump out of the way to give up offensive rebounds, then, maybe the Warriors defensively could be not bad. I mean, we've seen teams have success with centers who you think might not be able to handle it if they have to step up on guys, but they can at least stand in front of the basket. I mean, the Bucks have made Brook Lopez into a really good defensive player through that. The Spurs made it work with Pau Gasol for a while. I mean, we remember they slowed down the Rockets' high-powered offense with Pau Gasol as their starting center. Now, of course, different teams, different situations, but the point being, I think Wiseman could be, in the perfect scenario, and perhaps that is next to Draymond, a positive defender for the Warriors, even if we all know that there are some things he still needs to work on. The other thing for offense, besides Draymond being at the top of the key and getting it to Steph, will also be Steph-Draymond pick and roll, Wiseman in the dunker spot, Draymond lobs it up to him, that sort of nice stuff. Now, while I can try to be positive about the way the season could go for them, we do still have to be honest about the first two games, and I mean, Steph already said the collective IQ needs to get a lot better, which is him basically saying, does anyone on this team besides me know how to pass or realize that you shouldn't dribble into traffic? And there's a chance that they can clean that stuff up, but even if things go well, is this team a playoff team right now? I don't know, man. The West is tough. Again, I still do believe in Steph Curry. It seems like Wiseman can help them out. He already is helping them out. It's basically Wiseman, Steph, and everybody else right now for this team. Although, to be honest, you could argue through two games Wiseman has actually been their best player, given how bad Steph's percentages are right now. Of course, that's not going to hold up. So yeah, Wiseman looks pretty good.